Good evening, dear listener. Tonight we embark on a journey unlike any other, stepping through the veil of time into a world where death walks the cobblestone streets and hope flickers like candlelight in the darkness. If you enjoy calm history like this, you can also listen on Spotify or explore history audiobooks on Audible. Both are linked in the description for you. I invite you to close your eyes and imagine waking up not as yourself, but as someone entirely different in a time when survival was never guaranteed. The morning light filters weakly through dirty glass, barely illuminating the cramped chamber where you find yourself awakening. Your body feels different, unfamiliar. The rough woolen dress clinging to your frame tells a story you're only beginning to understand. You are Margaret, a baker's daughter in the year 1348. And outside your window, the city of Winchester is slowly dying. The first sensation that hits you isn't the ache in your back from the straw mattress or the chill seeping through the wooden shutters. It's the smell. Sweet decay mingles with burning herbs and human waste, creating an assault on your senses that makes your stomach lurch. This is the scent of a medieval city in the grip of the Black Death, and it will become as familiar to you as breathing. You swing your legs over the edge of the narrow bed, your bare feet touching cold stone. The chamber is small, perhaps 8 feet square, shared with your younger sister, who lies still beneath her threadbare blanket. For a terrifying moment, you wonder if she's simply sleeping or if the pestilence has claimed another victim during the night. Relief floods through you as she stirs, coughing softly in her sleep. The wooden stairs cack ominously as you descend to the bakery below. Your father, Thomas, is already at work despite the early hour. His weathered hands knead dough with practiced efficiency, but you notice the tremor that wasn't there a month ago. The plague has aged everyone prematurely, stealing strength and certainty from even the most robust citizens. Your daily routine begins before dawn, as it has for the past 15 years of Margaret's life. The ovens must be lit, the dough prepared, and the day's bread baked before the morning customers arrive. But these are no ordinary times, and your customers are no ordinary people. They are survivors in a world where half the population has already perished. The bellows wee as you pump air into the oven's flames, watching the orange light dance across the soot-stained walls. Each loaf of bread you'll bake today represents more than sustenance. It's hope made tangible, proof that life continues even when death seems victorious. Your hands, now calloused and strong from years of labor, work automatically while your mind struggles to comprehend this new reality. The first customer arrives as the sun climbs higher, casting long shadows through the narrow windows. She's wrapped in a heavy cloak despite the season, her face partially hidden by cloth, meant to ward off the evil vapors that many believe carry the disease. Her coins clink on the wooden counter as she purchases her daily bread, but her eyes never meet yours. In a world where a cough can mean death, even the simplest human interactions have become fraught with fear. Margaret's memories flood your consciousness as you serve customer after customer. You remember when the streets were filled with merchants hawking their wares, children playing games in the squares, and the sound of laughter echoing from the taverns. Now the city moves with the deliberate caution of prey animals, every person calculating the risk of each encounter. The bread sells quickly despite the reduced population. Those who remain alive are desperate for the simple comfort of warm bread that speaks to life continuing despite the devastation surrounding them. Your father counts the coins with satisfaction, but you see the worry lines etched deeper around his eyes each day. Business is good because competition has been eliminated by death, not because prosperity has returned. By midday, the heat from the ovens becomes oppressive, but you dare not open the windows wide. The city's air carries more than just unpleasant odor now. It carries whispers of contagion, rumors of new outbreaks, and the constant underlying fear that shapes every decision. You've learned to breathe shallowly when strangers approach, to keep your distance even from familiar faces. Your sister Emma descends the stairs, her pale face a constant reminder of how quickly health can deteriorate in these times. She's only 13, but her eyes hold the gravity of someone much older. The plague has stolen childhood from an entire generation, replacing innocent games with survival skills and carefree laughter with cautious whispers. The afternoon brings its own challenges as you venture into the streets to purchase flour from the miller. The cobblestones are uneven beneath your leather shoes, worn thin from daily use. Every step requires careful attention, not just to avoid stumbling, but to navigate around the human waste that flows in open channels down the center of each street. Winchester's narrow lanes twist and turn like a maze designed by madmen. Buildings lean precariously toward each other, their upper stories nearly touching overhead, blocking out much of the precious sunlight. In this perpetual twilight, shadows hide both opportunity and danger. You've learned to walk quickly but quietly, drawing as little attention to yourself as possible. The marketplace that once bustled with activity now resembles a ghost town with scattered survivors. Vendors who remain alive charge premium prices for their goods, knowing that desperation makes people willing to pay almost anything for necessities. Your family's bakery provides some insulation from these inflated costs, but flour, salt, and other ingredients still require careful budgeting. The miller's shop stands at the edge of the city, where the plague's impact seems somehow less immediate. Perhaps it's the open spaces around the mill, or maybe it's simply that death feels less oppressive when you can see the horizon. The great wooden wheel turns slowly in the stream, grinding grain with the same methodical persistence that has sustained communities for generations. Your transaction with the miller is conducted with the formal politeness that has replaced genuine warmth in most social interactions. He measures your flour carefully, checking the weight twice before accepting payment. Trust has become a luxury few can afford when survival depends on every transaction being fair and accurate. The return journey to the bakery takes you past the cathedral, its towering spires reaching toward heaven like stone prayers for deliverance. The massive doors stand open, revealing flickering candles and the shadows of kneeling figures within. Some seek divine intervention for their own health, while others pray for the souls of those already lost. The constant murmur of Latin prayers creates a backdrop of desperate hope that follows you through the streets. Children are rare sights in these plague-ravaged streets, but when you do encounter them, their haunted expressions break your heart. They move with the careful weariness of adults, having learned too young that the world is dangerous and unpredictable. Their games, when they play at all, often involve elaborate rituals meant to ward off disease or honor the dead. Evening approaches with the same reluctant pace that characterizes all activities in this dying city. The sun sets early behind the tall buildings, plunging the streets into premature darkness that feels symbolic of the broader shadow cast over society. Candles and oil lamps begin flickering to life in windows, each small flame representing another household that has survived another day. Your family gathers for the evening meal, a simple affair of bread, cheese, and whatever vegetables remain fresh enough to eat safely. Conversation is subdued, focusing on practical matters rather than dreams or aspirations. The plague has taught everyone to live one day at a time, making long-term planning seem both pointless and dangerous. The bread you eat tastes different somehow, infused with the knowledge of how precious and precarious life has become. Each bite represents ingredients that were dangerous to obtain, fuel that was expensive to burn, and time that might have been better spent in isolation. Yet the act of eating together as a family provides comfort that transcends these practical concerns. Your father shares news gathered from customers throughout the day, carefully filtering information to protect Emma from the most disturbing details. Reports of new outbreaks in neighboring villages, stories of abandoned homes where entire families have perished, and rumors of miracle cures that invariably prove false. The flow of information in a medieval city relies entirely on human contact, making every piece of news potentially contaminated with more than just falsehood. As darkness settles fully over Winchester, you help prepare the bakery for tomorrow's work. Dough must be prepared and left to rise overnight, ovens banked to maintain proper temperature, and ingredients measured for the morning's baking. These routine tasks provide structure and purpose in a world where both have become increasingly scarce. The night sounds of the city tell their own story of survival and loss. Dogs bark in the distance, their owners long dead, but their loyalty persisting. Rats scurry through the walls with bold confidence, knowing that cats have become too valuable as plague fighters to spare for mere pest control. Occasionally, human voices drift through the darkness, usually carrying news too urgent to wait for daylight. Your chamber feels smaller tonight, perhaps because you're more aware of the walls that separate you from the dangerous world. Necessity and shaped by the terrible beauty of human persistence in the face of overwhelming odds. The pre-dawn hours stretch endlessly as you lie listening to the city's troubled breathing. Winchester never truly sleeps anymore, and neither do its surviving inhabitants. Your mind, still adjusting to Margaret's memories and instincts, processes the constant low-level anxiety that has become normal life. Every distant sound could signal danger. Every moment of silence might indicate something worse. When you finally rise again, your movements have acquired the careful deliberation that marks all plague survivors. Nothing is done hastily or carelessly anymore. You dress slowly, checking each piece of clothing for signs of wear that might expose skin to contaminated air. The woolen stockings, mended multiple times, still provide essential protection. Your kirt, though faded from repeated washing with harsh lye soap, remains your primary defense against the elements and unseen threats. The bakery's familiar routine offers comfort, but today brings an unexpected complication. A knock at the shuttered window announces a customer before official opening time. Your father hesitates, hand frozen on the wooden bar that secures the entrance. Early customers often bring urgent news, and urgent news is rarely good news in these times. The visitor proves to be Master Jeffrey, a cloth merchant whose prosperity has somehow survived the economic collapse that claimed so many others. His request is unusual. He needs bread for a funeral feast, but not just any funeral. His wife has finally succumbed to the wasting illness that has consumed her for months, and he wants to honor her memory with a proper celebration of life rather than the hurried burials that have become commonplace. This commission requires more than your usual daily bread. Master Jeffrey describes elaborate loaves shaped like wheat sheave, sweet cakes flavored with precious spices, and small individual portions that guests can take without sharing common serving pieces. The order represents both opportunity and challenge, requiring ingredients that are increasingly difficult to obtain and techniques that demand absolute precision. Your father accepts the commission with the grave formality that business transactions require in this new world. The payment offered would sustain your family for weeks, but the work must be completed within 2 days. This timeline means longer hours, higher temperatures in the bakery, and increased exposure to potential customers who might carry contagion. Every economic opportunity now comes weighted with survival calculations. The morning's regular customers seem different today, more hurried and nervous than usual. Fragments of conversation reveal the source of their anxiety. Reports have arrived from London describing a new variation of the pestilence, one that strikes more quickly and shows necessity, and shaped by the terrible beauty of human persistence in the face of overwhelming odds. The pre-dawn hours stretch endlessly as you lie listening to the city's troubled breathing. Winchester never truly sleeps anymore, and neither do its surviving inhabitants. Your mind, still adjusting to Margaret's memories and instincts, processes the constant low-level anxiety that has become normal life. Every distant sound could signal danger. Every moment of silence might indicate something worse. When you finally rise again, your movements have acquired the careful deliberation that marks all plague survivors. Nothing is done hastily or carelessly anymore. You dress slowly, checking each piece of clothing for signs of wear that might expose skin to contaminated air. The woolen stockings, mended multiple times, still provide essential protection. Your kirt, though faded from repeated washing with harsh Lee soap, remains your primary defense against the elements and unseen threats. The bakery's familiar routine offers comfort, but today brings an unexpected complication. A knock at the shuttered window announces a customer before official opening time. Your father hesitates, hand frozen on the wooden bar that secures the entrance. Early customers often bring urgent news, and urgent news is rarely good news in these times. The visitor proves to be Master Jeffrey, a cloth merchant whose prosperity has somehow survived the economic collapse that claimed so many others. His request is unusual. He needs bread for a funeral feast, but not just any funeral. His wife has finally succumbed to the wasting illness that has consumed her for months, and he wants to honor her memory with a proper celebration of life rather than the hurried burials that have become commonplace. This commission requires more than your usual daily bread. Master Jeffrey describes elaborate loaves shaped like wheat sheave, sweet cakes flavored with precious spices, and small individual portions that guests can take without sharing common serving pieces. The order represents both different symptoms. Whether these stories represent truth or the endless rumors that circulate like poisonous fog through medieval communities, they create palpable tension that affects everyone's behavior. Your sister Emma proves invaluable as you begin preparations for Master Jeffrey's elaborate order. Her small hands are perfect for shaping delicate decorative elements, and her artistic eye helps create patterns that transform simple bread into something approaching art. Working together provides a welcome distraction from the grim realities surrounding your daily existence, allowing both of you to focus on creation rather than survival. The specialized ingredients required for the funeral feast necessitate another journey into Winchester's dangerous streets. This time, your destination is the spice merchant's stall near the cathedral, where exotic seasonings command prices that would have seemed impossible before the plague reduced supply chains to desperate improvisation. Cinnamon from distant lands, honey from local beekeepers who risk their lives tending hives, and salt preserved in carefully guarded stores all carry premium costs. The spice merchant, a wise man whose survival seems miraculous given his advanced age, conducts business with the methodical care of someone who understands that mistakes can be fatal. His scales are checked twice for accuracy. His goods examined carefully for signs of contamination or adulteration. Trust may be scarce, but verification provides some measure of security in transactions where both parties risk exposure to disease. Your route home takes you past the city's main well, where a small crowd has gathered around a traveling preacher. His voice carries across the square as he delivers a sermon about divine judgment and earthly purification. Some listeners nod in agreement, finding comfort in explanations that make sense of senseless suffering. Others maintain the skeptical distance that experience has taught them to preserve around anyone claiming special knowledge about the plague's meaning or purpose. The preacher's message mingles hope with terror in equal measures, promising salvation for the faithful while warning of greater tribulations to come. His words reflect the spiritual confusion that grips communities where traditional religious explanations seem inadequate to explain the scale of devastation. Churches remain important gathering places, but their role has evolved from centers of celebration to repositories of grief and desperate prayer. Returning to the bakery, you discover that the afternoon has brought an unexpected visitor. Father Benedict from the local monastery stands in earnest conversation with your father, his brown robes marking him as one of the few religious figures still actively ministering to Winchester's surviving population. Many clergy have either fled to safer locations or succumbed to the plague themselves, making those who remain particularly valuable to their communities. Father Benedict's presence signals both honor and concern for your family. The monastery has noticed your consistent survival and continued productivity during these troubled times, marking you as potentially valuable allies in maintaining community stability. However, his visit also carries implicit expectations about charity and service that could strain your family's already limited resources. The priest's request proves both reasonable and challenging. The monastery seeks a regular supplier for their daily bread, offering steady payment in exchange for guaranteed delivery regardless of circumstances. This arrangement would provide economic security, but would also require maintaining production even during the most dangerous periods of plague outbreak. Your father's acceptance commits the family to a level of exposure and responsibility that significantly increases both opportunity and risk. Evening preparations for the funeral feast consume every available moment and surface in the bakery. The elaborate loaves require careful timing to ensure they finish baking simultaneously, while the decorative elements demand constant attention to prevent burning or collapse. Your hands, already tired from the day's regular work, ache as you shape intricate patterns that must remain perfect despite the physical demands of prolonged labor. The heat from multiple ovens operating at capacity transforms the bakery into a furnace that rivals the legendary fires of purgatory described in Father Benedict's sermons. Sweat drips constantly from your forehead, requiring frequent wiping to prevent contamination of the carefully prepared dough. Your woolen dress clings uncomfortably to your body, but removing layers would expose skin to potential burns from the oven's radiant heat. Your sister Emma's stamina proves remarkable as she maintains focus on delicate detail work despite the oppressive conditions. Her youthful energy provides essential support for completing the elaborate